Welcome and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Golden Llama Show. Today we have with us Olivier Mankondo, who's a vegan enthusiast. Thank you for being here, Oliver. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. And thank you very much for having me on your show to be able to share my story. I'm really, really grateful for that.
Believe me, the pleasure is all mine and I'm looking forward to it. So without further ado, what is your story?
Yeah, so my story started a bit when I was young. When I was young, I grew up in Africa. And over there, I was not exposed to too many animal product, dairy product, and processed food. So when I was growing up, I was lean. And when I was born and when I was growing up as well, there was no computer games. There were no video games and stuff like that. So we were really forced to play outside, running around, playing football. So we were very active. And because of that, I was very lean. But when I left my country, I went first of all to South Africa, and then I came to the UK, and then I was exposed to a lot of animal products. So basically, I was able to have some kind of animal product: salami, bacon, hot dog, sausages. I had all these things: meat, chicken, and lots of dairy product, ice cream, yogurt, and all these things, and lots of processed food. And because of that, I started to put on weight until I topped up 100 kilos. And because of that, I starting to suffer a lot of chronic diseases. For example, I was suffering from high blood pressure, and people should know that high blood pressure is very dangerous because 50% of people who suffer from heart attack or strokes, it's because of high blood pressure. So I was suffering from that. And I even remember I spent a day and a half in hospital because my blood pressure went through the roof. And apart from that, I was suffering from a lot of headaches. So every day or every other day, I had to have some massive headaches. And in fact, I had to have some painkillers in my wallet all the time because of that. And I had dandruff, chest pain, back pain, abscesses, and a lot of dental problems because of my bad eating habit. For example, until midnight, I was still having something to eat. Maybe I'll have my bottle of Coca-Cola with some biscuits, some cookies, and some cakes and stuff like that. And I was always tired, always. So, for example, on the day when I was not working, I was sleeping until 1 p.m. And
Mm.
when I had to go to work, I had to drag myself out of bed. And all this was really, really bad on my health. And when I went to see the doctor, basically they told me that they were going to put me on medication for the rest of my life because of all the chronic diseases that I had. And at that time, I refused. I said, no, I can't take medication for the rest of my life. I don't want that. And he said, okay, what are you going to do? And I said, okay, I'm going to join a martial art club. So I joined the karate club and I stayed there for maybe 4 years, but my blood pressure was still high, so there was still no changes. And in 2016, out of the blue, I was just watching a program on YouTube, and there was an Indian yogi who suggested that by stopping eating animal product, it was possible to reverse 70% of the chronic diseases. And because at that time my health was pretty bad, I said, okay, I'm going to do that. And it was a Wednesday that I watched that program. On Thursday, I went to work. When I came back, I had my last meal of meat. And on Friday, I went cold turkey. And
Mm.
the following week, it was very, very big for me because there was lots and lots of detox symptoms. I started for 3 days. I had massive headaches that I've never had in my entire life. I had more cold sore on my lips. I had my joints starting to ache even more. And even here at home, my family asked me to stop, but I was so adamant. I said I will continue. And then after a week, all these detox symptoms disappeared. And that's what people need to understand, that when you change your eating habits, that's how the physical body will detoxify. You will get rid of all these things. But for most people, they will be scared and they will say, okay, it's not working,
Mm.
and they will revert back to what they was eating in the past. And then
Mm.
after a week, like I said, I was able to lose 5 kilos. And then 4 months into my transformation, I went back to see my doctor, and all my blood pressure was gone. And 9 months into
Mm.
me changing, I was able to lose 35 kilos, and all my chronic diseases completely disappeared. So I had no joint pain anymore, no headaches, no abscesses, no colds. Every single thing was gone. And basically, I was able as well to reverse my aging process, because a lot of people, when they see me, they think that I'm in my late 20s, but I'm actually 54. So basically, that's my story in a nutshell.
I'm one of those person that I cannot believe how young you look, and it's very intriguing for me. Could you tell me how long did this journey of eating processed food lasted?
Yeah. So one, I was eating processed food. Basically, it was all my life. But for the changing my way of eating, basically to start seeing all the changes, it took 9 months. But I've been eating this way for the past 8 years, and that's why I've been able to reap all these benefits, basically.
So you started this because you realize you have an issues, and eating plant-based diet was a solution. How does your day-to-day food recipe look like? What do you eat?
Yeah. So what's happened is that when I adopted this way of eating, I didn't know. I have a clue that it was going to work. It's just because I trusted that Indian yogi. That's why I said I'm going to change. But if the way I eat now, my recipes is I only eat twice a day, because I've noticed that when you're in the society, we've been told that we need to eat constantly. But what people need to understand is that uh, the more you're eating, the more, because 80% of our energy is developed, is spent to process food, to digest food. And if you're constantly eating, it's going to be difficult for your body to heal and cleanse. And that's why I only eat twice a day. So my first meal is always at 12. And at 12, I will only eat fruit. It can be mangoes, it can be pineapples, it can be bananas. So basically, it's fruit. And at 6 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., that's when I will have my second meal. And usually in the past, it was cooked food. For example, I would have some plantain bananas with, let's say, mushroom, or with rice or spinach and stuff like that. So basically, I was just eating fruit, vegetables, legumes, green nuts, and seed. And now for the past 2 years, I've been able to increase the way I eat. So basically now, 98% of what I eat is raw. So if I have to look, there's only 2 meals that I have. I mean, uh, it's mostly raw 98%, and I have some cooked food like tofu, like sometimes I will have a little bit of beans, a little bit of mushroom, a little bit of potatoes, but 98% of what I eat now is raw. So, for example, twice a week I would have some salad at night. I mean, at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. And for the rest of the time, it's only fruit that I eat. So 14 meals that I have in a week, 12 are fruits only, and 2 are salad. That's basically the way I eat now.
I have to ask, man, do you like food?
Yeah, yes, I do.
And when you eat fruit, do you eat only like one fruit, or is it all the fruits you can eat? How does this look?
Yeah, so in the past, I used to mix a lot of fruits, but now I understood that it's better to do mono basically, because I like to look in nature. For example, we share 99% of the same DNA with gorillas. But when you see gorillas, when they eat, they don't mix fruit. They only eat one type of fruit. But now what I've done is every day I only eat two types of fruit. So for example, today I had the bananas. So now basically when I eat, I only eat two types of fruit at a time. That's what I do now.
Do you have like any sugar spikes? Like you have
No,
lots of
no.
energy and then no energy? Because I understand that to a degree, like you mentioned gorillas, like if we observe animals in nature, we could see how we could behave if we have similar patterns. Like lions eat meat and they are lazy all the time. They need time to digest. On the other hand, you have animals like cows that they only eat grass, but they eat grass all the time. And I think they digest all the time and they don't really have to have energy. to do stuff, any creative thoughts. So I think there must be some balance between. And did you experiment with other diets, with other ways of living before you settle with this one?
No, no, the only that before it was basically the way all people eat. So basically it was animal product, dairy product, processed food. So I didn't have any particular diet. It was eating like people used to call the standard American diet. So all the processed food and all that. It's only in 2016 that I adopted this way of eating. And the way I see it is, I don't. I'm more, always full of energy. I don't remember. I don't recall since 2016 a day when I was lazy, when I was tired and stuff like that. And like I was to say as well is that for the last 8 years I've not been sick a single day. So I'm full of energy. I don't have any problems and stuff like that. So with this way of eating, the way you were saying that carnivores, they eat, for example, lions, they eat meat and they will have to lie down most of the time, and cows, they are always eating and stuff like that. But when you look, for example, at gorillas, like I've just said, we share 99% of the same DNA. They don't eat all the time. They eat when they are hungry, and you can see that they are among the strongest animal on the planet. And because we share the same practically 99% of the same DNA. And if we eat like them, there's no reason why we shouldn't have any energy and stuff like that. And if you see as well, I'm 54 now, but there's nothing that I cannot do now that when I was 20. So everything that I was able to do when I was 20, I can still do them now. So I'm always full of energy, and this way of eating, this lifestyle has given me a lot and a lot of positive benefit.
Okay, here's a tricky question. What do you order when you go outside with friends?
Yeah. So when I go with friends, it's a little bit tricky because when I go out, there's not a lot of plant-based food or vegan food. But for example, last week I went to a wedding. My brother got married. So over there, I only had salad. I think some plantain bananas and stuff like that. So it's a little bit challenging, but I always find something to eat. Or for example, I can have yeah, usually it's salad that I can still find, or I can find some vegetables, plantain bananas, or rice and stuff like that. So I always try to find something to eat, but it's like you said, it's a little bit challenging because you can't eat all the time. Yeah.
Is that diet a cheap diet?
No, it's not cheap because if you look, for example, at meat and all that, normally it should cost a lot, but it's subsidized by the most government. That's why it's cheap. And but when you have to eat fruit, vegetables, legumes, grain, nuts, and seed, and especially if you have to have organic ones, it's going to cost a lot. But what I can say is that your health is should be the most the priority in your life. So if you have to invest for your life, for your health, you have to do it. Because when you look, you will see that a lot of people will argue with, so no, I can't do that. I can't go on a plant-based nutrition because it costs a lot. But you will see these same people are able to buy iPhones every single year. They upgrade their iPhone all the time, and an iPhone can cost easily $1,500 US dollars. But they have the money to do that, or they can upgrade their cars every year or stuff like that. So I think people need to redirect their priorities, and your priority should be your health, because without your health, you will be able to do nothing of significance. So for me, yes, it costs, but if you can prioritize your health among other stuff, you will still be able to manage and to have enough money to be able to buy the good food for your health.
Yeah, and even if you think about it that way, more energy equals more time you can work. So I can think about that. But tell me, you done this process of eating only plant-based foods because you wanted to improve your health. There wasn't any beliefs that come into the picture.
At that time, there was no belief as such, like religious belief or spiritual belief. No, it was just to better my health because, like I said, at that time, my health was pretty bad. And when I heard that Indian yogi saying that if you eat, you remove animal product, it was possible to reverse 70% of the chronic diseases. That's why I said, okay, I'm going to do that. So yes, the primary reason for that was my health. But going through that change of lifestyle, I've been able to be more spiritual because now in the past I didn't even know what meditation was, but now I meditate every day. I am more spiritual. I understand that we are a spiritual being having a physical experience. So all this have opened up a lot of avenues for me. So I'm more spiritual because of this change of lifestyle.
So you change your diet, and changing the diet change the way you perceive reality, like different lenses.
Definitely, yes. And for example, I've been able to avoid being with negative people, to absorb a lot of negativity, because I've noticed that in the world, especially when you watch the news, it's mostly 90% of the news, it's negative. And I don't want to subject myself to negativity. And that's why, for example, since 2017, I've not watched TV anymore. I've stopped completely watching news, watching the TV. And all this is because of my change of lifestyle. So now I live in peace with myself. I watch on YouTube, for example, it's always positive, which will elevate my spirit, and I avoid everything negative at all costs. So this is a positive point for just changing my lifestyle. Now I'm more spiritual. I know exactly what to allow in my stuff like that. Yeah.
So what you're saying is that plant-based diet is the ultimate self-care, is it?
Yeah, I would imagine that, yes, because even for people who are Christian, although now I'm not myself as a religious person anymore, but if people look in the Bible in Genesis 1:29, it says that God gave us fruit and vegetables to eat. It didn't say meat, it didn't say processed food, it didn't say dairy product, just fruit and vegetables. And when you eat like that, you will be able to vibrate at a higher level of frequency, and you'll be able to attract a lot of circumstances, a lot of people will vibrate the same way as you. And I think this is, for me, the ultimate way of eating, the ultimate lifestyle, which will give you a high vibrational state and stuff like that. Yeah. And because when you look as well, when you eat animals, all these animals, before they die, they go through a lot of negative emotions, such as fear, stress, anxiety, hatred. And what we should know is that energy doesn't die. So when this animal dies, this energy are transferred to the people who eat their flesh. And that's why you will see in the world there are a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. So when you avoid all this, all the suffering of all these animals, in a way, you will be able to vibrate at a higher frequency. And this will be always better for your spirit, your body, and your mind.
That all of that sounds perfect, but you know, there's this saying, a myth, that you need to consume at least 50 grams of proteins per day to ensure your muscles do not decrease. How do you respond to that?
The way I will respond to that is that, like I've just said, us and the gorilla, we share 99% of the same DNA, which means that our digestive tract are practically the same. But gorilla do not eat meat. They only eat fruit, vegetables, and tender roots. But look how muscular they are. They are very strong. So the way, for example, for me, I've spent last 8 years not eating any animal product. I'm not weak, and I'm always energetic. And what people need to understand is that you get all your protein from the fruit, the vegetables, the legumes, the grains that you eat. Or if, for example, we think that we need to eat the cow, we need to eat the goat and all that to get the protein from them. But when you look at these animals, they don't eat any meat. You look at the cow, the giraffe, all the herbivores, they don't eat meat. But what do they get their protein from? From the grass that they eat. And exactly from us, if we eat fruit, vegetables, legumes, grain, nuts, and seed, we're still going to have all the necessary protein that we need.
So this is gonna also be a tricky question. If you look how gorillas live, they live completely different from us. They don't live in houses, they don't live in concrete, they live in nature, they move a lot. And giraffes eat grass all the time. So how do we fit in this picture?
Yeah, so when we look, for example, in the past, when we human beings we used to we used to live in nature, that was the perfect scenario. But now we can still mimic that in the sense that we can still go to the nature, taking walks to the park and stuff like that, just to make that, because it's difficult to be in nature like animals. I understand that, but we can still do our best. And that's why, for example, because we cannot live in nature like that. That's why our expectancy has gone down a little bit, but we can still try to get the maximum of what we can, still living in the condition that we are, with all the electrical devices, with the electromagnetic frequencies, with living in houses and stuff like that. We can still, it's not a perfect scenario, but we can still get a lot from eating in this way.
This one will be another tricky question. How would you respond to people saying that being a vegan makes you weak in the mind?
No, that's false, because when you look, for example, so someone, for example, who eats meat, okay, you eat meat, and when we look at the what is it called again, when we look at the food takes to pass through the system, for example, if you eat a piece of fruit, it will take 3 to 4 hours to pass through your system. You eat raw vegetables, it will take around 12 hours to pass through your system. If you eat raw cooked vegetables, it will take between 24 and 30 hours to pass through our system. But if you eat meat, fish, and chicken, it will take 72 hours or 3 days to pass through our system. And when you look at meat, fish, and chicken, they have got no fiber and they create constipation. And when you are constipated, basically your all this fecal matter, all the toxins will be reabsorbed into your bloodstream. And that's why a lot of people suffer from a lot of conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer, and all that, and all the autoimmune diseases. And basically, what's happened is that when you're from being constipated all the time, your blood will you file blood, and the blood will circulate into your system. It will go into your brain, and I will argue that when you eat meat and with all this foul blood, basically there's you will mostly that's why you will see a lot of people suffer from mental health problems. So, but when you eat a lot of fruit, vegetables, and stuff like that, I don't think that you'll be weak. I don't think that. And when we look, for example, at the Genesis, when God was created, I would argue that people were vegans at that time, because we didn't figured out the fire and stuff like that. So we had to eat only raw food, but people were not stupid at that time. They were living a long time, longer, and stuff like that. So I don't think that when you are vegan, you will be weak. That's false. And for myself, for example, since being a vegan, since vibrating at a higher frequency, I've increased my intuition. There's a lot of things ideas that I'm having that I didn't have in the past. And this has been able to really make me, I would say a superhuman person, but a better person than they used to be before.
So society telling us that vegans are afraid of challenges, afraid of confrontation, it's false.
Yeah, it's completely false. It's completely false. But what I can say is that when you are vegan, they are more peaceful, they are more compassionate. And when you look even in the animal kingdom, you will see that all these herbivores, they are very not ferocious animals. Unless you come to disturb them, then they will have to defend themselves. But in nature, you will see that it's the animals who eat meat. They are very ferocious, they attack and stuff like that. And there was even an experiment which was done in prisons. And when they're starting to feed all the prisoners with vegan food, with plant-based food, they've noticed that the violence went down in those prisons. So I will argue that when you are vegan, when you eat plant-based, you are more compassionate, you don't like violence, but yes, you can still defend yourself. But these people are more compassionate, I would say.
Yeah, but if you look like in nature, predator will only attack you when he's hungry. When he's not hungry, he's gonna leave you alone. But an animal like cow or herbivore could attack you out of fear of being fear in his life.
Yes, I understand that they will only attack if they fear, but if they at animals, they can feel the vibration, they can feel what you want with them. So without even saying anything, they can feel your intention and they will defend themselves. But if you are peaceful with them, it's like, for example, uh, when I walk in the park, because every Sunday I have to go to the park, walk and stuff like that, I see a lot of squirrels, and the squirrels can feel that I don't want to harm them, and they can approach me very close. But in the past, they was not doing that. When I was, I mean, in the past, I was not even walking, but it was impossible. When you see a squirrel, it will run away straight away from you. But with my compassionate nature now, when I walk in the park, these squirrels can approach me very easily. So yes, I understand that the carnivores, they only attack when they want to eat. Yes, but at the end of the day, you can see that they are very ferocious. And if they feel as well that they're threatened or you trespass their territory, yes, they will attack you. But the point that I was trying to make is that the herbivores are more laid back. They will only attack you if they want to defend themselves, but usually they are not they are not ferocious. That's the point that I was trying to make.
It makes perfect sense. If you observe, for example, like dogs, if they notice and smell your fear, they will attack you. And it's kind of like this a circle that you cannot get away from because dog has bitten you, you're then afraid of dogs, dogs can
Yeah,
smell that and they bite you. And it's like a karma cycle. That's
yeah.
really amazing. Tell me, if people would like to connect with you so they can speak about going on plant-based diet, how would they find you?
Yeah, if people want to find me, they can go on my website, which is oliviermankondo.com. And for your viewers and your listeners, I would like to give them a free gift, which is my 7 tips to lose weight. That's the same 7 tips that I would use myself to lose all these 35 kilos. And I will give you the link so you can maybe put that in the show notes so that they can see and try that for themselves. And I've also got my book, which is the plant-based nutrition, which is on sale on Amazon. And if they can go on Amazon and buy that, or they can go on my website. And on my website, it's going to cost less. And on top of that, they will be able to have more bonuses. And as well, I've got my 16-week one-on-one coaching program. And people who are interested, they can book a discovery call with me. And on the discovery call, basically what happen is that we'll be able to explore their goals, we'll be able to explore their priorities and their health concern, and we're going to discuss their diet history and have a look at their current lifestyle, including their routine and their habit. And we're also going to work together to identify any limitation and changes so that we can create a plan of action to overcome all these limitations and set them on the path to achieve the short and long-term goals. So basically, that's what we're going to do on the discovery call. And if there's a good fit, we'll be able to work together so that we can fix all these health situations that have been troubling them for a long time. So basically, that's what people can do. They go on my website, oliviermankondo.com, and we'll be able to do all that.
That's really amazing. Support Oliver clicking the links below this video or from the description if you're listening to it. And thank you so much for listening another episode of Golden Llama Show and stay tuned for the next one.